Welcome to the Full Nielsen. Today I'm going to be doing a comparison between the K-Bar Becker BK9 and the Ontario RTAK-II. The top one here is the Becker BK9, the bottom one is the Ontario RTAK-II. I'm one of those people that never thought I would buy a big knife because I figured they were kind of pointless. I've done a lot of hiking and backpacking and camping and hunting and stuff like that and never seen a need for a big knife. I just couldn't wrap my head around why somebody would want to carry one of these crazy heavy things. And so, yeah, I never have. Until my younger brother Taylor one year decided that there was a much easier way to process elk than the way we had been doing it. Now, when we process them, we would take a smaller knife and usually find a rock or a stick, and we drive that through the ribs or the sternum of the animal, and then also use that to break through the pelvis. Have to take a smaller knife and whack on the back of the tang to break through the pelvis of the animal. And it occurred to him, why in the world are we using a little knife for that when we could just get a big knife and just blow our way right through all that stuff? Well, what he did was picked up a K-Bar heavy Bowie. We tried that out first and it just worked amazingly well. It's faster than a saw, faster than a little knife. It's fantastic. You just take it and start whacking like you would with a hatchet or anything like that. You can drive right through all the bones, right through everything else, right through the pelvis and everything. And it basically cut the amount of time it took us to process an elk in order to gut it by, 60% or something. I mean, a pretty substantial amount, pretty much cut it in half. Now, after seeing how well his K-Bar Heavy Bowie worked and this Becker BK9 worked, I bought an Ontario RTAK-II the other day, and he picked one up for that matter as well. There was a sale on Amazon. These are usually quite a bit more expensive, or in the past they'd been quite a bit more expensive than the Becker BK9. I want to say they were around the $100 mark, $120 mark, $90 mark, somewhere in there. Becker BK9 is $70 to $80, maybe $70 to $85. These were on sale on Amazon, and I think they're back on sale again for about $65. And I thought, okay, well, after seeing how well his big knives worked on processing elk, I actually have a reason to buy one of these now, and a way that I would use it. I would still never take it hiking or anything like that. I just find smaller limbs and use those to build my fire, and yeah, I don't need to carry a big heavy knife for that. But anyway, so I picked this RTAK-II up. We went out just a few weeks ago and harvested 3 elk. My dad got his, and I got mine, and my brother got his. And my younger brother and I were pretty close to our elk were pretty close to each other, so we went over to process them. I didn't have my RTAK-II with me. He had his BK9, so we used his BK9 and his K-Bar Mark I to process these 2 elk. No problem. Broke through all the bones, everything, no problem. Got them taken care of. When we drug them down later, we decided to take the legs off to make them easier to drag. And that's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to get out my RTAK-II and, just to use it. I've already used it for some batoning and some other stuff, but I haven't used it on processing an animal, and decided I was going to use that to take the legs off this animal. Now, you can take a knife, a smaller knife or whatever, and drive it into the cartilage between the bones and carefully cut, that joint out. And that's the way we've always done it in the past until my brother started buying these bigger knives. And then there was just no reason to do that anymore. You could literally just grab the leg and with a few strokes cut the leg right off without having to mess with that. Just break through the bone and everything. Just made it a lot easier and a lot faster. So I took my RTAK-II out and took off maybe 2-3 legs, and by the time I was done, it looked the way it does here. And I'll bring you in a little closer so you can see that. Now, as you can see, there's some pretty substantial amount of steel missing from that knife. And yeah, didn't hold up so well. Now, this Becker BK9 has been through not just 3 or 4 legs. This thing has been used on probably 7 elk to process the entire animal, break through all the ribs, the sternum, the everything. And there is one little chip in it right here, and that's it. that's somewhat expected. The blade being dull after being used for something like that, of course, is expected. We just sharpen them up again, but that's the reason reason I bought this big knife, and it's the reason we own big knives, is for that specific purpose, processing elk. Anyway, so that's what happened there. Now, where does that leave me? Well, I don't know if this RTAK-II was not heat treated properly and that's why it chipped like that. I don't know if it's because it's full flat ground, meaning that from the tang of the knife all the way to the front, it gradually tapers until it reaches its edge, which means that for, you know, if you were to take this section of the knife here, it's going to be much thinner overall than the BK9, which, as you can see from this line in the knife, it maintains the full thickness of the blade for about a third of the knife, and then for the last 2/3 all the way out to the edge, probably a little more than a third of the knife. But anyway, for the last 2/3 or so out to the edge, it begins to taper, which probably gives it is probably a stronger, more robust design. Now, that's been my experience between these two knives. If I had to choose one or the other, given the type of task I use them for, the clear winner for me is the Ka-Bar Becker BK9 or the Ka-Bar Heavy Bowie for that matter. I will update you guys and let you know if this is just considered abuse, what I was using the knife for, or if it wasn't heat treated properly, or what the deal is. Let you know what Ontario's response is. If they say that's just considered abuse, which they might, and to be fair, it may be considered abuse in some people's minds, I have no other reason to own a big knife other than for these types of purposes, to basically do things with them I can't do with the little knife. I have little knives that have been used, and my family has smaller knives that have been used for years, which we would hit the back of the spine with a rock to drive through bones, and they didn't do this. Even smaller, like almost pocket knife sized knives. So I'm pretty disappointed, to say the least, that it's gone this route. I actually like this RTAK-II's design better in terms of the handle is much better. It feels a lot more comfortable in my hand. I like the little bit, I think it's a little heavier, the balance of it. I like the swing weight and stuff of it. I really like this knife, other than the fact that it didn't hold up for what I bought it for. That kind of gets back to what I've mentioned to you guys about certain types of firearms and stuff like that, which is it doesn't matter how cool they are or how good they look or all the bells and whistles they may have. If they don't function when you need them to function, in my mind, they serve no purpose. And I just don't have any tolerance for that. And that's the same thing with this knife. If it won't hold up to the type of task I'm going to be using it for, then of course I have no purpose for it. I'll get rid of it. Anyway. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. So I hope this guy's helped any of you guys out there who may be on the fence about which one of these to buy. Maybe some other people who own the RTAK-II who have used it for something like breaking through bones and stuff like that could, you know, share their experience in the comments and let people know, hey, I didn't have any of those issues when I used mine. Yours must be heat treated improperly or whatever. I have seen guys take a BK9 and drive it through cinder blocks or bang on cinder blocks with it. Of course the edge is going to dull or may even slightly fold over or whatever, but it never chipped. And this thing, yeah, I'm just pretty unimpressed, pretty disappointed. So thanks for watching the video. If you guys have any comments, feel free to leave those in the comment section below. Have a nice day.